This is Snook. Welcome to Pants Are Optional. It is a show about two Steamians and if they can be in the same room together and not talk about Steam or Steamia. It's really just a show about having fun, having some laughs, learning a little bit about the person behind the username that we see most every day. And I hope you enjoy it. Have fun. Bye. Did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a writer. I write poetry, novels, short stories, and I spend probably 16 hours a day doing nothing but that, and working on my craft and getting stuff ready. And for fun, I play a lot of a card game called Magic the Gathering.
You're one of those.
Yeah, I'm really, really into Magic the Gathering,
Okay.
big time, and I think it's the best game that's ever been designed. I really do. I'm pretty obsessed by it, actually.
I didn't realize that it was still being played as much as what it is, and it is. I mean,
It's bigger than ever now. I mean,
yeah,
there's a pro tour.
really.
There's like open tournaments you can go into to try and get onto the pro tour.
Wow.
Loads of local game shops have what they call FNM, Friday Night Magic, and
Oh, okay.
that's all sponsored by Wizards. Online, there's about to be a new platform released for it, and it's called Arena, and it's just about to be launched. It's going to be launched, I think, in September or October.
Oh.
And the good thing about that is it's going to be available on like all platforms pretty much. So you'll be able to play it on your phone, on PS4. Or
Will they
whatever.
turn your cards into digital then for you, or how's that going to work?
Well, I play digitally anyway, but I play on a platform called MTGO, sometimes called Modo, and those cards will still remain there. It's actually quite a big subject because within the game there are various formats. So you have standard, which is basically you can use any of the cards from the last 3 released sets.
Okay.
You have modern, which is what I play, which is an eternal format, and you can use any card from edition 9 onwards.
Okay.
And that tends to be a lot more of a stable thing. Obviously, if you're playing standard, your decks are going to rotate out every 6 months or something ridiculous like that. So you kind of have to keep building new decks.
Yeah. Right.
So the thing with Arena is it only pretty much does standard, and the one that I play on does all of the formats. So I'm going to stick with that. If you're going to get into it and you want to be good,
yeah, right.
You kind of have to know the meta of the format you're playing in. If you're playing in the modern meta, you need to know the modern meta. If you're playing standard, you have to know what's going on in standard.
Yeah.
And I probably watch 4 or 5 hours of Magic streams a day.
Really?
I'm not kidding.
Wow. Yeah, it would be late at night. It would be like something I did before bed.
Actually, it's something I do when I go to bed. I just put it on and I fall asleep to
it.
See,
there you go. It was like you'd find your favorite guys, at night, or for me at night.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And some of them have great voices for putting you to sleep.
Yes.
Say that.
Yes. And some it's like, oh, you're irritating me. I'm turning you out. And finding somebody else is playing.
Well, it's better than Valium. It really is.
Well, it is, quite honestly. Yes, I mean, if truth be told, it is.
So I do that. I'm also a musician, though I haven't been much of a musician for a while.
That's right, you did. I've heard some, and you do all your original own songs, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I also, I used to play for people, and I've got a set of covers that I know still, kind of. I hope I do.
There is always,
it's been a while, It's been a while since I've really played. And again, it's all about having sort of dedicated my life now to writing more than music, really.
Now, you're doing that full time now, right? You stopped working, and you're just writing full time.
Yeah, I mean, officially, I'm a house husband, and
it really gives you for me a way to interact with intelligent people and be creative at the same time and not feel like you're the only one in the world out there.
intelligent, and I think also a lot of driven people and a lot
Yeah.
of creative people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Discord really is the most phenomenal tool.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
I
agree.
couldn't actually see my life without it at the moment. It would be worse than not having a telephone. It would be worse than not having. I don't know. If I had to choose between the TV, the telephone, and Discord, I'd choose Discord.
Really?
Yeah, without a doubt. There's no doubt.
I would actually have to agree with that.
I first joined because of Magic the Gathering. There's a format in Magic the Gathering called Penny Dreadful, which is not an official format.
Yeah.
But these group of people have put it together and they've created a load of tools so you can play it. And the way it works is, you'd actually like this. This is probably right up your street.
Oh.
The way it works is the only cards you're allowed to use in Penny Dreadful cost 1 cent. They're the only cards you're allowed to use in the format are 1 cent. And there's loads of cards like that. So you can, so to create a deck that will last you one of their seasons, which is usually sort of, I think, about 3 to 4 months. It costs you less than $1 to create a deck.
Well, that was smart on somebody's part. I mean, really, because really that's like the gateway into the Magic the Gathering. All right, so I'm going to ask you the first real question.
Okay.
Now do you see how this goes?
No, this is great.
Okay, good.
Fire away.
All right. When was the last time you experienced nostalgia?
God, this is a tough one.
It is, kind of. Because I'm trying to think.
I'll tell you when it was.
When?
I'm just editing a novel at the moment for the Pitch Wars competition, which is happening on Twitter. And I don't know why. I was having a chat with a friend of mine. We were talking about our dead projects folder, which mine is reasonably large. Having been writing for the last more years than I care to say, I've got a number of novels that some of which are like 8 or 9 chapters, some of which are like 8 or 9 words.
Yeah, right. It's like idea. Okay, got it down.
And I read through a couple of them, and I realised that one that I started back in university at Bath Spa, which would have been 2008, so 10 years ago.
Wow.
I'd basically rewritten into the novel that I'm working on now, and I honestly I had no. I didn't even remember it when I was writing this.
Well, that's actually kind of freaky.
And I look back at it, and it's like the world is very different. In the one I'm writing now, it's set in a near future dystopian thing. In the other one, it was set in a world where the Nazis had won the Second World War. But the actual main part of it, which was that these children had been genetically modified, that was exactly the same. And even some of the characters, they were very similar between the two. So that did get me thinking back, because I was trying to think back to when I wrote it, and I honestly, it took a lot to remember that time.
Yeah.
And so then I was thinking about being back at university, which was, was, fantastic. I loved it. I loved going to uni. And so that would be it.
Yeah, but that is a little freaky that without knowing it, you in your head, it was still in your head somewhere. That it pulled out.
It was. I think obviously it was something that I really wanted to write. And it just, the first time, I don't even know why it failed the first time. I just stopped writing it at chapter 8. I did Nano last year, and NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, and I started on a new novel then, which only, again, it kind of failed a little bit of the way through, and so I abandoned it.
Yeah.
And then the last novel I wrote was the second draft of that, and I wrote the whole thing. I wrote the whole thing in 11 days. It was 60,000 words.
Yeah.
And it just it just seems so. I think sometimes these ideas need time to gestate, essentially, in your subconscious, and then when they're ready, they just throw themselves out at you.
Right. But
I mean, in writing terms, it's what you're kind of left with if you hit that block and you try and you say no, I'm going to carry on trying to write.
Exactly.
And you end up staring at a blank page for months. So
Yeah.
my new policy is, if it happens,
Yeah.
I'll keep trying for just a little bit. But if it isn't going anywhere and it completely stops, I'll be right. Time to move on to a new project. Because
Right.
otherwise, I'll stop being productive.
Right.
And I don't want to stop being productive.
Right. Exactly. I think it's hard when you're not creative to realize that there's so much going on in your head and soul that to be creative and to keep it fresh and what happens when you get your mind working against you.
I think you have to really respect those things. I mean, especially as a creative.
Yeah.
It's quite funny. One of my tutors back in Bath Spa used to say, when you get a real job,
yeah, had that.
say you're stacking shelves at the local supermarket.
Yeah.
And your boss says to you, "Oh, can you put those baked beans out there?" You can't turn around and go, "I'm just not feeling it today."
Right, exactly. Sorry. Just don't feel like touching beans today.
Yeah. But this is the I think this is a hard thing to come to understand, because we, I think sometimes we think everything applies absolutely to everything else, but the creative mindset is very different. It really is.
Oh, definitely. I
mean, my dad taught me how to play guitar. My dad's actually an Irish musician.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he's getting older now and he doesn't really play as much. But he over the last few years he's been doing a lot of concerts for old people's homes and that kind of things. He'll go with his little group and they'll play. Absolutely, really, and he loves it. And it's also a nice bit of community for him, because he has this group and they get together and play, and they have nice nights and stuff.
What is the weirdest thing you do when you are totally alone? Okay, without going in that direction.
Okay.
So let's somewhat keep it,
It's probably really boring. I either write or I play Magic. I mean, I'm probably doing one of those two things. I pace quite a lot. That's.
Are you a pacer?
I am a pacer.
Yeah.
I'll look out of the window and I'll think about this. I'll read, but I think this is the other thing is when I have alone time, I tend to want to use it really productively.
Yeah. I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
So I do watch YouTube videos. There you go. I watch YouTube videos. And I watch extremely strange YouTube videos.
Do you get sucked down that rabbit hole when you're watching them? Where you
it's
click?
The rabbit hole. Yeah.
And what you
there's one on the side there. Well, that looks good. I'll do that one after.
Yeah. And then you realize 4 hours has gone by.
Oh no, the problematic one is where you they need to come up with a feature to deal with this. So you see a video, and there's those videos on the right hand side that it says links to.
Yeah.
And you see when you go to that one. You see when you go to that one, but then you see one, and you see two videos that you want to watch on that one.
Yeah.
And if you click on it, then you've
lost.
For some reason, sometimes you go back, and you've lost that other one that you wanted to see.
Yes. So, I agree. I ran into that, and then you try, and then it's it's gone.
Yeah.
But then you find something else to click on.
Oh, of course,
Yeah.
But you're always disappointed you couldn't see that other one. Sure. But, I mean, a couple of stories there. I was lucky enough to meet Brian Aldiss. I won a competition and science fiction novel. And he said when he wrote his first novel, he wrote his first novel and he thought to himself, well, if I write a novel about Croydon, which is where he lived at the time, that would probably sell well in Croydon. and probably not very well anywhere else.
In the rest of the world, yes.
And so he said, if I write a novel about the moon,
right,
that could sell anywhere. And that's why he started writing science fiction. It was
Well,
a sales thing. He thought that would be a way to get books out that would appeal to anybody.
well, which I agree. But you can still pick a fictional place, say the moon, and then but take the feel of the place that you're living in and take it there because it's a
Yeah.
fictional place.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
the kind of the emotional and social environment you bring
Right.
to that as well
Yeah.
can be absolutely reflective of something that's going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think all of our ideas are drawn from reality in some way or another, even the
Oh,
imaginary ones.
absolutely. Absolutely.
And so you can
Totally.
bring that to the page.
Yeah.
But funnily, I also was lucky enough to a couple of times to get to meet Robert Minhinnick,
Oh.
who's a Welsh poet. Probably not that well known, but I thought he was absolutely amazing. He really blew me away. And I was at a reading of his, and it was at our university, and only 6 people turned up for this reading, which I thought was a little bit bad.
Yeah.
And he stood in front of us, and he started blasting us with this Welsh poetry, and it was fantastic.
Wow.
And the smell of whiskey off him was kind of overpowering, but but
I gotta be here. I'm drinking.
oh no, well, no. I mean, I can tell you, like, I've met a ton of poets, and every one
Whiskey
of
seems
them
to
pretty well. No,
whiskey seems to be like a something they have to do.
Well,
Not have to,
one of
but-
the crazy things in Bath is that a load of the pubs are kind of upstairs above shops,
Oh.
and so there's always
That would
stairs
be
going
dangerous coming down.
Aha!
From the pub.
This is well, one of my poetry shooters actually fell down three flights of stairs
I could
after a night
imagine.
out after a poetry reading. It's quite funny.
Yeah, because your buildings, well, are older over. Yeah. That,
In Bath, especially, yeah.
Yeah.
But back to Robert Minhinnick. He said,
sorry.
"It's okay." No,
Good.
he said, that as writers, we should write about where we come from, because if we don't, no one else will.
Well,
And this ties in very much to. I mean, my big hero in writing is Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American writer.
yeah.
And he always said that our eye is placed where it is so it can testify to the ray of light it sees. And I think that's a really big thing. I think, again, he also said that at some stage in a writer's career, they realise that envy is suicide. So envy is ignorance and imitation is suicide.
Yeah.
And it's
Right.
true.
Well, it is. Yeah.
I think when you start becoming a writer is when you realise that actually what you have to say is important and is going to apply to a lot of people. Because I think some people look at other writers, with glamorous eyes and envious eyes, and they say, "Oh, I wish I could have written Harry Potter. I'm going to try and write Harry Potter or whatever it is."
But
they're
that
doing.
wasn't yours to write.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
and the fact that if you try and do that, you're kind of trying to write. You're trying to write something that isn't you. So
Right.
the moment you realise that actually,
Yeah.
I've got a life, I've had experiences,
Right. Exactly. No,
and
I
they're
totally
worthwhile and
agree.
worth speaking about.
Yes.
And this is my life, and I'm going to reflect my life in my writing. That's when you become a writer. I think that's when you really start to move forwards, because you stop thinking in terms of what you'd like to be, and you start thinking in terms of what you actually are. And and if you're a writer, I'm not interested in what you want to be. I am interested in what you are.
Right.
If you a really good point. There's a great book you should read called The Joy of Writing Sex, and it's all about how to write sex scenes.
Oh, okay.
But the writer right at the beginning says, if you're a writer, go straight to the hard part first. Go straight to the part which is difficult for you to say, that you wouldn't tell your best friend.
Right.
Go straight,
Right.
and that's the bit that I want to read, because I'm gonna see
Right.
something in that which is
Right.
going to move me, which is
Right.
going to help my life and maybe change something in me. So I'm
Yeah.
really big on this. I think you should write your own world, write your own life. And if you write fantasy, you can move that into fantasy. It doesn't matter. Because you're
Well,
still
I
hitting
think
all
you
the
can
same
move.
things.
I think you can move any.
Yeah.
any morals or any ideas or whatever into any world that you can, because it's still based off of characters.
Absolutely.
Which, well, my biggest thing is I always tell people that write from your heart, write what you know. I mean, and you, or you should, because when people read it, even if you're just learning, they will pick up the heart and soul that's in what you're writing.
I think so. And if something's been a problem for you, if something's been an issue for you,
Yeah.
and you honestly explore it with emotional integrity,
Yeah.
it could change the life of one of your readers. I mean, I know this for sure because of Malachi. I get emails and messages on Malachi from people, and
Yeah.
they
Right.
say it's really it's really made a difference for them, and
Yeah.
that's really good as a writer. It doesn't really get
isn't
better than that.
I was gonna say, how much better can it be? I mean, even if you write something and touch one person, to me that's worth it.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
and that's, I think that if someone was to say to me, what defines a writer,
Yeah.
I think it's probably that. I think it's that knowledge that what you have to say is worth saying, and you shouldn't feel like inferior to somebody else who's published this or that or the other. You should feel that you can add to it too. But this is why it's the self-satisfaction of knowing that you've written your own idea from your own mind, and that has to be the thing you're happy with. That
I totally agree with
to
that.
paraphrase Emerson, and I'm going to do so very badly. He says that no gift has ever been bestowed on a man who didn't till his own earth. And you have this, you're given this small patch of earth to work on,
right?
And you won't get anywhere by looking at someone else's field and going, "Oh, that's good. I like that. I'd rather have that bit of field over there." You just have to work on what you've got.
Well, that's that whole grass is greener thing. It's not.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's just not. Right. And once you realize it's not, no matter what you think that person has, it's not greener. It could be filled with dog poop under the grass, and you don't know. That's why they keep their grass long.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is the most embarrassing thing you have ever worn?
This is a tough one. Again, I'm not sure I've worn anything embarrassing. I'm really sorry.
You wouldn't be seen down in anything embarrassing?
Embarrassing I've worn.
Okay, well, what's the most embarrassing thing you wore that maybe in another place would be embarrassing? Or like where you are now is normal, but like take that and
okay. Yeah, when I was in a band when I was about 18, and I used to wear malachite beads, and I'm not talking like little beads here. I'm talking
the big ones. Those were in. Yes, those were huge. Those were huge.
It was quite funny because I was chatting to a friend of mine, and I might actually try and find you a picture and throw it over to you. But it's amazing how androgynous I looked when I was younger. I mean, I totally don't now, but yeah. And this was before I was out. No one knew I was gay. So, and I have no idea why.
I have no idea why.
And when you look at this picture, I will try and hunt it down for you.
You have to,
so you can see it. But
those beads were. I mean, that was I remember. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. I don't see that being being part of your wardrobe. That's funny. Which of the 7 wonders of the world would you want to visit most?
It would have to be the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, I think.
Yeah.
Just for because they're the one. I think that's the one that can't be easily reconstructed. Like you can see all the others. You can get pictures of all the others, or even they don't. I think most of them don't exist anymore. But
right. Actually, yeah.
But you could reconstruct them as 3D models.
Yeah.
But the only one that I think you wouldn't get a full perspective of is the Hanging Gardens.
Yeah, unless you were actually there. What is the most interesting thing you could do with 400 pounds of cheddar cheese?
Ooh,
And I'm
I'm
asking
not.
this to somebody who's English. So,
I'm not sure about interesting. Do you know what would be the best thing you could do with it though?
I'm
Would be to
waiting.
have a party where you just made everybody cheese on toast, or grilled cheese as you call it in America.
I love grilled cheese.
And you just put tables out the front of your house and have like a grilled cheese garden party or a grilled cheese
That
street
would
party.
actually be really cool. A street party. That would be
Yeah,
really
and
cool.
everybody just eats loads of grilled cheese.
That would
And
be really cool.
obviously, you'd have to have loads of hot chocolate with it or cocoa, to
Yeah.
be served with it,
Yeah.
or maybe a soup to go with it. I don't know, but yeah,
Or fondue. Yeah. Can make
a
some fondue.
grilled cheese street party would be absolutely amazing.
That would actually be a lot of fun. I was not expecting that, and that would be a lot of fun. What would be the most spectacular funeral you could imagine? Not necessarily for you, but in general.
The most spectacular funeral. I think being blasted into space would probably beat everything else.
That would,
Uh,
yeah, I agree. Now,
Um,
would you be frozen or would you be?
well, I've hubby hates talking about this, but
Oh,
I've asked when I've gone. I want to be. You can get your ashes put into a crystal. But I would, yeah, that's where I'd go. But no, I think if you're going the space route, I think you need a glass rocket with
yeah. So like
a glass coffin,
like a
so they
Cinderella
can see
thing,
you.
or Sleeping
Exactly,
Beauty,
yeah, a
like
Sleeping
Sleeping
Beauty
Beauty.
thing.
Yeah,
So they
yeah,
can see you. They can see
yeah,
you as you shoot off into space. That would
yeah,
be great.
yeah.
Going from the ground,
Yeah,
you want the rockets blasting there,
yeah,
and that
yeah,
maybe some fireworks,
yeah.
a bit of
Okay,
Beethoven, maybe. But yeah.
maybe a little Beethoven. That's good. That's a good answer. I like that answer. What is the most useful thing your mom and or dad has taught you?
Wow, this is a good one for me because my mum and dad, um, they're both amazing people,
Hmm.
and in very very different ways. My dad is an absolute intellectual. Um,
Okay.
but you have to consider that he was born in a farm in the middle of Ireland. I mean, right in the middle of Ireland,
Oh,
and
okay.
so he didn't really have the opportunities to sort of go to college and university and stuff. He
Yeah.
became a clockmaker and a clock repairer.
Oh,
Mum and Dad's house is like a clock museum. It really is an antiques museum.
they
It's
see
just ridiculous.
they would get along with my father-in-law. I'll have to find pictures.
So I have, as I'm often reminded by hubby, I have many of my father's traits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I my smarts I get from him definitely, but also
Yeah.
my lack of willingness to put up with people who annoy me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I tend to be very focused. Like if I'm doing something, I'm doing it, and I just don't want to be disturbed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so, and my dad will nowadays he'll sit there and he'll get up in the morning, he'll put on his Kindle and he'll read a book. And he'll read the whole book and then he'll go back to bed again, and he won't say anything.
He won't say a
You know,
word.
he won't say a word.
That's hilarious.
Unless something happens and he might have one or two comments to make and that's it.
Yeah.
And you won't hear more than that from him in the whole day.
Wow.
And I guess I'm not as bad as that, but I have a little bit of that going
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
wait till you get a
and
little
if,
older.
if I'm lying, hubby can shout and tell me, tell you if I am. My mum, on the other hand, is without doubt the loveliest person I know.
Really?
Um,
That's very sweet to say. To be able to
well, no,
say.
but
To be able to say that.
she's amazingly kind, selfless,
Yeah.
as hubby just said,
Yeah.
and generous. And it's not just me who thinks so.
Right.
The stuff she does for other people, she always puts other people before herself,
That's neat. That is.
and to her own detriment, to be honest. And but she's wonderful. She really is. And I think the caring, nurturing side of me that I've got definitely comes from her.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm quite loving and nurturing. Though if you annoy me, I won't talk to you. And and yeah, so I don't think. I mean, my dad taught me to play guitar. Um, my mum just taught me how to be nice to people. I think.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
those are, you know,
But those are good qualities.
I think so. I mean, there's negative qualities. So you know, my lack of ability to put up with people is probably quite bad. You know.
Well,
Hubby says I have autism occasionally, just jokingly, which I don't. But I do get his point. I do lack, and the other thing as well, I'm one of these people who can't really hide how they're feeling
well, I've been told
in my facial expression and
that's
stuff.
exactly. I used to, and I still do get yelled at for my face.
I recently
Yeah.
posted a meme onto Facebook that said I'm sorry for the things my face said while you were
Yeah.
talking.
Yes, exactly. It's like, no, just listen to my words. Don't look at my face and listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess a part of that probably is due to the whole process of coming out when I did.
Well, right.
I've been lying about myself for so long. I kind of said I got to the point where I just said, look, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to be who I am now, and you know, for better or for worse. And if people don't like it, they can go do one, and I'll just be who I am. And
Well,
it worked out well for me.
well, I think it does too. I mean, but it takes a lot of courage to get to that point that you did.
Oh yeah, I mean,
I mean,
both courage and also pain to an extent. So
yeah.
you get to the point where you just can't take it anymore, and then you
Well,
just go.
yeah.
Like, and I've always said that, you know, coming out should be an experience that everybody goes through. Obviously, not necessarily as being gay, but being who they are.
Right.
You know,
I was
because
just
because
gonna say.
we all live with illusions. I think for a long time, you know, we have these illusions we built up around ourselves, and it's such a relief when you can just say, "Fuck it, I don't care anymore.
Well, I think that's
I'm just going to be who I am."
I think that's just part of growing up, though. I mean, I've gotten to that point. Right? You don't like me? That's too bad. I don't. This is who I am.
Oh,
I mean, I mean,
many people have not. Is what
yeah.
I'm
No,
saying.
I realize that. And they put on, and those are the people that it's like, okay, well, you stay over there, and I'll stay over here, and and we'll get along really nice.
Yeah.
Because I don't have time for that. I mean, I had somebody say, there was somebody who said something to me, and I was like, it came down to, you would have died if you had to live through everything I had to. Plain and simple. I know you. I see what you're saying, and you would not have lived. You would have killed yourself. I can tell you that. So, I think there becomes a point in your life, and that part of it is age is that you just realize that this is not worth it. It's not worth putting on this. Who are you kidding? And it's so much easier to be yourself.
Oh, it is.
Whether if that person doesn't like you, well, then as you really are, then who cares?
Yeah. What's the point?
Yeah, because
I have a message of hope though for all those people who, especially all those young people who are, you know, constantly worried about what people think about them.
yeah.
Is you gradually realize as you get older that actually people generally aren't thinking of you at all. They're just thinking of themselves.
Exactly.
So don't worry about it.
Exactly. That is like the best advice ever. You are who you are. I mean, you can change as you grow older. You can change. You can change your views, or talk to somebody and they can change your views. But your core, your morals, and who you are. I mean, that if anything, I mean, that doesn't change. For me, it doesn't. I mean, I can be silly, I can be goofy, I can be serious, and don't cross my path, but yet my morals are still the same, no matter what.
Sure, moral. I mean, I think personal morality is
Yeah.
almost set in stone. Usually, it takes a lot. It takes a lot for it to shift.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and to me, it's be nice to people, and if you can make somebody laugh, God, go for it, because there's not enough laughter in this world.
The golden rule. I actually there's a rendering of it I like, which I put in Malachi, which is consider your neighbour's gain your gain and your neighbour's loss your loss. And
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is, because when you stop being nice to people, I think it hurts yourself too. One last question. And is hubby right next to you?
He is right here.
Okay. All right. Because I want to hear his reaction.
Okay.
Toilet paper over or under?
Oh, over. I mean, there's no doubt. Toilet paper over or under, darling?
I'm not fast.
Oh, he's not fussed.
Oh, he didn't care?
Really? Over?
Over generally, yeah.
Over. We both say over.
Oh, okay. But he doesn't really care.
He wouldn't be offended if it was under, but under makes no sense.
No, I agree.
Under makes absolutely no sense.
I totally agree with that. But you are the first one I've asked this now 3 times, and you are the first one that said over, which I totally agree with, 100%.
Yeah.
But they had cats, so they
The
said
cat's gonna get to it anyway. I'm sorry.
That's what I thought. But I'm just saying, and I was like, oh, really?
I would irritate those people by going into the toilet and turning it round. And write a message on the paper saying, "What are you doing?"
I know, it drives me nuts. It drives me nuts.
The biggest problem, and this is the one that they have no argument against.
Yeah.
So you should remember this one.
Okay.
Is that when you put it backwards,
Yeah.
there's a high chance that your hand is going to hit the wall behind where the toilet holder is.
Very true.
Okay.
Very
so
true.
it's unhygienic to have
On
it that
top
way.
of it. That's very true. I never even thought of that angle.
There you go. So there's a good argument for you. You can change people's minds.
Well, you can say, when was the last time you cleaned around your toilet paper holder?
Well, there you are.
And I can pretty much guarantee everybody will be like,
Yeah, I want to see a pack of Dettol wipes sitting right there.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. Well, thank you. We're done. That was the last question. Did you have fun?
It was great. Yeah, it was great chatting to you.
Okay, good. Good, I'm glad.